Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for David Robinson.
It's 1962. I'm 8 years old. I'm sitting on the living room floor. In front of me is a black and white TV. I holler to my mom, Mom, it's about to start. Perry's about to come on. My mom yells back, hold your horses, son, I'm on the way. Hold your horses. Behind me is a sofa. She flops down on the sofa. Perry gets into his act. I hear her, Perry, object, Perry. Perry Mason was a lawyer that won all of his cases. He never lost. A year later, I'm 9 years old. I hear my dad hollering from the upstairs. Get ready, we gotta go. We're about to march, come on, get ready. I'm 9 years old. I'm lockstep with my dad, marching down to Cobo Hall to hear Martin Luther King. It's 1963. He's having his I Have a Dream speech. I really didn't understand it at that time, but I listened. Now I'm 14 years old. It's 1968. I'm in junior high school, Hutchins. There's a quiet hush in the room. All of us are black kids, 14 years old now. We don't say one word. We go to the windows, we raise it up. We began throwing chairs from the third floor out onto the ground. It's our silent protest. What are we protesting? The king is dead. I always wanted to be a lawyer. I get into high school. I'm about to graduate now. My guidance counselor, the white guy, his name is Ken Pardonnet. This is my first kind of real brush with racism. I go to him and said, Ms. Pardonnet, I'm about to graduate. What advice do you have for me? He says, what do you want to be, David? He said, I tell him I want to be a lawyer. He says, Dave, sorry, you're setting your heights too high. I didn't say anything. I just walked out because I knew what I wanted to be was a lawyer and I was going to be a lawyer. But it made me think about what our black teacher, Sam Walker, told us, that in Detroit, the school system was designed to do one thing, and it was to make you a member of the big three. It was like school to factory pipeline. So I graduate, I get into Wayne State University. I major in speech and psychology because I thought those two things would help me to be a lawyer. Now I had to figure out a way to pay for college, right? And so there was this program called Police Cadet. And so if I entered the police department as a cadet, the government would pay for it. And then there's law enforcement education program. And so I was going, and by 1975, I'd had 3 years of college and the government was paying for it. It was great. And then Coleman Young, he got elected in 1974. And in 75, he said he was going to end the cadet program. So I said, whoa, how am I going to pay for college? Well, the only way I could do it was continue the government support for education and tuition. I had to become a police officer. So I entered the academy. It was a 30-week program, and this was my second brush with racism. Mr. Pardonnet was my first, and so sitting next to me was Ron Selleck, white boy, dumbest white boy I'd ever met in my life. But he sat next to me, and he wanted to cheat off my papers. Mind you, these were simple answers, but I said, okay, no problem. I let him cheat on my papers. When we graduated, I had a badge at that point in time. And so at a graduation party, I went to Sam Lucido. He was a tag officer for 30 weeks. And put on my badge and I said, Sam, we're equal now. Sam looked at me and he said, we will never be equal. At the time, I didn't say anything. I just walked away. I knew what my mission was. So now I see Ron Selleck years later in a baseball game. I said, hey, Ron, how you doing? That motherfucker didn't even speak to me. Pardon my language. I get into law school, Detroit College of Law. I knew one thing about law school. I was a Kappa Alpha Psi. I was a Kappa, and I knew that the founding father of our fraternity, Henry T. Asher, graduated in 1924 from Detroit College of Law. So when I walked around, I looked at all the pictures, and my mission was to find a picture of Henry T. Asher. And lo and behold, I found him. Yo, frat. It made me proud. It just gave me more inspiration of what it is that I want to do. I graduated from law school, and I'm sitting back like a baseball catcher waiting for the big case. I thought back to my mom and her love for Perry Mason. I thought back to Perry Mason and the fact that he won all of his cases. Then I thought back to Martin Luther King in 1968 and all of those civil rights leaders back then and how they lived their lives, okay? And I wanted to be like them. And so coming in my door one day was a lady by the name of Arnetta Grable. Her son had been killed by a police officer. And she had another lawyer, but she wasn't satisfied with that lawyer. And she wanted a new lawyer because the other lawyers, white lawyers, wanted her to settle the case. But she said no. And she refused because she knew Lamar Grable, her son, could not have done what he was accused of doing. The police officer, Eugene Brown, claimed that he had been shot twice by her son. They found a gun at the scene. He had 2 bullet holes in his vest. He went to the hospital and he survived. They held him a hero. Okay, newspapers lauded him. The only thing that saved his life was his bulletproof vest. And so Arnetta Grable, she came to me. I said, Arnetta, I'll take the case. And I'm probably the only lawyer in the state of Michigan that can handle this type of case because I was a cop. I had been a cop and I knew how cops think. So she fired the other lawyers. And it was a difficult case. I went to some other lawyers and I talked to them and I told them the case. I said, Dave, are you nuts? You can't win this case. They made him a hero. He was shot. This boy tried to kill him. But I wasn't listening to that. You know, I was listening to my mama. I was listening to Perry Mason and my mama because my mama would have taken that case. And I took the case. And I get this boy on the stand, this shooter, shot him 8 times, okay? Contact shots to the neck, okay? And I asked him this question on the stand. It was a Perry Mason question. I said, listen, Mr. Grable was on the ground over here, and you fired those 4 shots into his neck. Point blank range. Contact shots. Is it possible, sir, rather than him standing erect next to you, firing at you, you instead were down on one knee. He's already down on the ground and you punitively shoot him in the neck 4 times. Is that possible? You know what he said from the stand? Yes, it's possible. It was over. Jury gave us $4 million for the case. That was my Perry Mason moment. I saw my mother, okay? Arnetta Grable jumped up. She grabbed me and she hugged me. We both cried. It was justice. It was my Perry Mason moment. You understand? I thought about Lucido. when I was a graduate from the police academy. He said, "We will never be equal." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. We will never be equal." And I thought about Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and Rosa Parks and Malcolm X. And I thought about Medgar Evers. And I thought about how in the course of their lifetimes, they did deeds that sacrificed their lives on the benefit of others, that they made footsteps on the planet that would make them survive their deaths. Well, I want to survive my death in the deeds that I do. Thank you.
Thank you, David Robinson. Thank you so much for that story. Oh my God.